something like "don't shit where you eat" sort of thing. Like don't.
Yeah, I'm just smart. I only fuck the out of town comics, and I don't have to. Like if their name's on the marquee, I just won't go in. That's a joke.
Just be discreet. Just keep it discreet. Exactly. Yeah, like no one will ever know.
There's a lot of comic dick out there. How's a girl supposed to resist, you know?
I know.
You've had your don't fucking lie.
No, I'm not denying anything, but yeah, no, I've had, I've yeah.
See, you've got stories too, don't lie.
I have stories, I know, I have stories. There are a whole bunch of comics going, oh, fuck. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is season 4 of Shooting the Breeze. And this week, my guest is my good friend, Julie Dugas. Julie is a comic based out of Ottawa. And thank you for joining me, Julie.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So we've known each other for a while, but I don't know your origin comic story. So how long have you been doing comedy and how did you get started?
I started doing comedy February 2016, so it's coming up on 7 years.
Okay.
But 2 years off during the pandemic, I really didn't do any shows for almost 2 years, maybe a year and a half. I got started, it's kind of funny. There's 2 things that brought me here. Where do I start? The last thing that happened that made me commit was being at a friend's place where he's got a bar at the back of his house and there's always people meeting there on Friday, Saturday nights. And one time a friend of his was there and I'm just doing my usual self telling stories. And this guy was laughing so hard. And he's like, I've been a cop, I've been an RCMP, I've been a border patrol officer. He's like, I've met all kinds of people, but I've never met anyone like you. He's like, you should really do stand up, because he was laughing so hard he was choking. Like he had to go outside. And I'm like, you know what? So many people tell me that. I'm going to do it and I'm going to sign up. And that was really the catalyst to me booking my first show. It took me a month of looking around, trying to figure out how to do it. That happened in like November. And yeah, February, I had my first set.
Oh, cool.
There's a bit of a longer answer though. I used to do Fantasia parties, and for people that don't know what that is basically I sold sex toys. So I would go to people's homes and do demonstrations and, well, no, presentations. I wouldn't
yeah, it's not a demo. That's a whole other,
other show.
That's a different, that's a different company.
One time I got a call for a Valentine's Day party and I didn't know the host and hostess. And it turns out the husband is a correctionals officer, but he's also a part-time talent agent. And he was like, we were dying laughing, you need to do stand-up. And I'm like, no, I like doing Fantasia. I don't really feel the need to be in front of big crowds. Like I'm happy just doing small presentations and stuff. But that stuck in my mind. And when the other guy said I should do stand-up, like those words reverberated in my brain. And I'm like,
the signs. My
whole life, everybody's told me I'm funny. I'm sure they have with you as well. But when it's your friends and your family, you're like, oh, you're just saying that because you love me. You don't really think they're objective. So you're like, yeah, right. So I did it once and I was hooked, and that's, 7 years later, here I am.
Oh, cool. Where was your first show?
It was actually at Absolute. It was it was a Monday night downstairs. I packed the room. I had 27 people there.
You packed the room, Kel Surprise. Every time I see you, you always have like minimum 20 people there.
But funny, I don't feel loved,
Oh, man. No, that's very cool. Did you take any courses or anything, or it was just, you just curated your stories? And
well, so my first story I ever did was really just dirty stories from my Fantasia parties. And, like to practice, I'm like, I kind of taught, which story should I tell that's not too dirty? And I mean, my Fantasia parties are half educational, right? Because I am trying to sell products. So I kind of weaned out the anatomy lesson out of it. And yeah, my first show was really just one of the dirty stories I tell at all my Fantasia. and it worked well. So no, I didn't study, but I've always been a good writer in high school. My teachers told me I should be a writer. I have the gift of gab. I'm a good storyteller. So, and then that's my style of comedy is storytelling. I don't do the one-liners and really a lot of observational humor. It's really just personal stories about my life. So that's just what I did and what I'm still doing.
Awesome. Awesome. No, because you're really, really funny. And like you in real life is you on stage, or I should say you on stage is you on real life. Like you don't
Yeah.
put on this like persona of, that this is you all the time,
No,
which is refreshing,
and I appreciate you saying that because actually I get that from a lot of people after my shows, a lot of women that are like, you're so relatable. And a lot of people told me, like, you look so comfortable. You look like you're just chatting with a bunch of friends. And that's how I see it. And I mean, when you sell sex toys for a living, you're comfortable talking about anything, really.
Oh
So
yeah, you have to be. You have to
it's
be.
pretty easy. When you talk about sex toys and telling people how to have better orgasms, like there's a certain comfort level that has to come with that. And I talk about a lot of, I don't want to say controversial stuff, but I talk about stuff on stage that some women have never discussed with their own friends. I still remember one set where I did this joke about where if your jeans are too tight and you got a big butt, when you fart, there's no room for it out, so it slides out the front up your lady,
It
right?
gets out
And
however it can.
the first time I did that set, this girl, she must have been, I don't know, 22, 24, comes up after. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, what? I thought she was offended. And she's like, that whole front fart thing. She's like, I was crying off. And she's like, me and my girlfriends, we talk about everything, but we don't talk about that. Nobody talks about that. Happened to you? She's like, okay, next time I hang out with my girls, we are talking about this, you know? So yeah, that was kind of fun. But my comedy doesn't just appeal to guys, to girls though. A lot of guys like my stuff, and you don't have to necessarily relate to find it funny, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Exactly. Like a lot of people think that in order to be funny, everything has to be relatable, and it doesn't, because especially if you're talking about your own personal experience,
yeah,
something you experience may not be relatable to anyone. It might be interesting
yeah.
to everyone, but not necessarily relatable.
Exactly. I listen to a lot of male comics. I'm not a guy. I don't know what it's like to get hit in the balls, but that shit's still funny to me.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's another factor that kind of gave me some confidence or comfort on stage, I guess, is because in my 20s I used to be a stripper, and I remember having this conversation with Jason Lawrence once. I think it was around the time of the comp, and he was telling someone they need to have more confidence. He's like Julie. He's like, she has confidence through the roof. I don't know where she gets it. I'm like, actually, do you want to know where I get this? I used to be a stripper. He's like, okay, I didn't think you could say anything else to surprise me, but because you know what? Here's a big lesson I learned when I was a stripper. First of all, I'm an exhibitionist, so stripping was easy. And I used to run around bars and parties naked. I'm like, I might as well get paid for it. But if you're in sales, I've done a lot of sales in my life. And if I'm trying to sell you a pair of shoes and you don't like them, I don't give a shit. I didn't design them. But when you're a stripper, you're your own product, right? So if I'm walking around trying to get a guy to buy a dance so I can make some money, and they're like, no, thanks. Then they go ask another girl to dance. You can't take that personally. Like,
How do
it,
you not though? That's the thing. I
well,
would be like, how
okay,
do you not?
trust me, at the beginning, it kind of stung a little bit. Especially since, oh my God, this was in 96. My boobs were brand new and they were spectacular. And guys would turn me down and go ask a girl with an A cup to dance. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I realized, you know what? They like small boobs. That's their type. And you know, that's totally fine. So I guess I just had an epiphany when I was stripping that I'm not everybody's type, and that's okay. I'm not going to be everybody's type romantically, sexually, friendship wise. Not everybody that interviews me is going to want to hire me. Not all my coworkers are going to want to be friends with me. And that translates really well into comedy because not everybody is going to find me funny. And once you accept that, it's very liberating. So I think I go into every show doing my best, saying what I think people will find entertaining. But there's always somebody sitting in the audience
Oh
like this.
yeah.
They're just having none of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to spend my whole set trying to win them over. If they already don't like my style, they sure won't like me by the end of it. I perform for the people that are smiling and laughing. So it's very liberating when you realize you're not everybody's type, and that's okay. It's on your part anyway.
That's
So
true.
that's
Like not everybody's cup of tea. And what I find weird, and I struggle with it comedy wise, on stage wise,
yeah.
that I accept that. That is fine. That doesn't bother me. Life, whole other story. Regular life, whole other story. But comedy, all of that makes complete sense to me.
Like there are people out there who think Angelina Jolie's knees are ugly. Like there's nobody unless you're literally voted the hottest man in the world, and even that there's people that
Yeah.
disagree.
I think to be able to do what we do,
Yeah.
you have to you have to you have to believe that. Like you have to go in going either,
Well,
either this whole room's going to hate me, or they're going to like me, but some might not laugh, some might find me too dirty, some might find me this, some might find me that. And yeah, that's a whole part of, it's not just getting up there and telling jokes, it's knowing that people may not react to you the way you hope.
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I really think all that applies in everyday life. And my set is very polarizing. It's crass and it's raunchy, and I struggle to write clean material because my brain doesn't work that. My whole life is a dirty joke. So people, when I meet people, go to parties, like even my personality can be polarizing for some people. And I think of this, Simone. I have gone to parties or even at work or something, and you meet someone and immediately you don't connect with them. Like they almost even rub you the wrong way and they've done nothing. I just think sometimes you click with some people and sometimes you really don't click with others. And that's not a reflection on them. They've done nothing. You don't know them. So if I meet someone and they don't click with me, they don't like me, I didn't do anything for that. I may want to change it. Sometimes it is disappointing if you meet someone you like and they turns out they really can't stand you. But it
Oh,
life
that
like
stings.
yeah, exactly. Like I don't get nervous on first dates because somebody I just met does not have the power to hurt me. Like that kind of rejection, I'm like, I'm just not his type. What do you want me to do? If it didn't click, it didn't click. I don't get nervous at job interviews for the same reason. I could do really well, but someone could do better than me. And again, that's not a reflection on me. Now, don't get me wrong. I've struggled with self-esteem issues. And yeah, rejection hurts if it's somebody I care about and I've invested time in. Of course, rejection hurts. And it's not fun after a show to be told, oh, I didn't like your set, you're too raunchy. But I know as a comic, you cannot write a joke, and this will be controversial. You cannot write a joke that appeals to 100% of the people 100% of the time.
That's impossible. It's impossible.
Some comics will
To
argue.
No, that's not possible. That's not
I,
possible.
I
Because you could say the same joke in 3 rooms and have 3 different reactions. Like
exactly.
everyone could laugh. Like there could be the general consensus of people laughing,
Yeah.
but one room they could be on the floor dying.
Yeah.
The other room could be, and the other
And
room could be, yeah,
it's
and
that
it's
with
the same joke.
it's like that with music, and it's like that with
Yes.
movies. You have the
Yes.
biggest actor in the world make a flop.
Yeah.
Um, you know, you can have the biggest songwriter in the world write a song that just totally doesn't resonate. So yeah, I'm not saying I'm like fearless, but I'm just like, I'm gonna put it out there and I just hope people like it. That's all.
Yeah, and I think that's a healthy attitude, because I find as comics, that's people look to comics or to entertainment as an escape,
Yeah.
as to see a different perspective, So I wholeheartedly agree with you that you write your stuff because that's authentic to you, and
Yeah.
you present it,
Yeah.
and you're
Just
going to
hope.
have multiple reactions, because you'll get up there, you say your thing. There's going to be somebody who's like, I cannot relate to this at all. and just shut down like these people.
Yeah.
Then you'll have people who are like, I've never experienced this, but this is interesting. Like, tell me more. And then
Exactly.
other people are going to be like, oh, yeah, I get that. That's happened to me. And other people are like, oh, that's what's coming. Okay. But yeah, like you could have like multiple reactions to the same joke, and that happens like in the same room,
And that's
yeah.
applicable. Like it's just you're like, I did the same set with the same intensity, the same delivery, same set, and it hits really hard one night, then mediocre the other. But that's
Or
because
not at all in another night. Yeah.
it's comedy is subjective. So
Mm-hmm.
audience will love it, the other one will be like, meh. And
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? Yeah.
And for me, that's part of the thrill. That's part of the excitement
Yeah.
of it too, like what's going to happen tonight, because you can't you can't really, well, I think we're seasoned enough that we can like get a feel of a crowd pretty quickly. You get the vibe of a room, but sometimes they surprise you. Like I did a show last night and the crowd was like really quiet. They seemed really, really quiet. Like, and the host was amazing and like a strong host, a strong comic, but the crowd seemed really quiet. So I know we were at the back of the room going, okay, we're gonna have to really like
Yeah.
shuck and jive to get them to respond, just to feel it, sort of thing. And he said one thing. I opened, and so right before he brought me up, he said, every time I introduce a comic, he's like, whatever energy you put out, they will take it and throw it back at you. He's like, it's a dance. So whatever energy they put out, you send it back to them. And they were like, okay. So he's like, whenever I introduce someone, just give him like your warmest round of applause. So he
Yeah.
introduced me. Like it blew the roof off. I'd
Yeah.
never experienced that. Like, especially
Mhm.
walking up to the stage.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go up, you do really well, and you get like thunderous applause when you're leaving. But to get thunderous applause on your way up, and I
Yeah.
was like, wow, okay, like whatever he said, like they were listening.
Yeah.
They were listening, they were involved, and they were like, oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. And so when they announced, like, wow, and they did that the whole show.
Oh, that's
It
good.
was amazing. It was amazing. And I had never, that was a first for me. That was a first for me, because sometimes it takes a little bit of like, they'll warm up during the with the host, and then with each subsequent act they warm up, warm up, warm up. But yeah, no, it was, and all he said was just the energy. He just talked about an energy exchange. It wasn't like a woo woo discussion. It was just like, when I
Just like,
bring them up, yeah, when I bring them up, just give them everything, and they're going to give it back to you and all that. And they were like, okay. And
yeah.
so announce and like, woo, and like really, really, like I'd never heard applause for someone going on stage like that
Oh,
before, so they can surprise you sometimes.
yeah. Many performers, we match energies. So if you go up to lackluster applause and it looks like the audience isn't engaged, not paying attention, and nobody's laughing out loud,
Mm-hmm.
it can be really unnerving. And some
Yeah.
comics lose them off completely. I've seen comics forget part of their bits, that their delivery is off, like they don't put the right inflections where they normally do, because we all know each other's sets by heart now,
Yes.
right? And some people, it can really throw them off. And then, so if you're not warm and welcoming, we're not going to deliver back what you want.
Yeah.
But the host handle that, like that's a true sign of a professional. So yeah, that's a bit of a skill to be able to rein in the audience and be like, hey, you need to reciprocate. You
Mm-hmm.
put it there, and they'll give you back, right?
Yeah,
So
and he didn't do it because sometimes we've seen it where people do it in like an antagonistic way. Like, you
yeah,
guys better laugh and like that. No, he was gentle with them, and he was like, hey, we're here to have a good time.
yeah,
We've got a bunch of talented people who are, excited and eager to perform with you. Like, let's match energy, sort of thing.
yeah.
And it just, yeah, and it turned out to be an amazing show. And then I think it was what, 2 nights ago, where we saw the energy sucked out of a room, remember?
Oh,
Like that's very easy too. That's a very easy thing to do, that you can just like everything out of a room.
that for a second, that was terrible. That was just terrible.
I
That
know.
I've got PTSD remembering that. Like that should never have happened. Yeah.
And of
I,
course the two women have to go fix it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the two women had to fix it.
Basically, anybody watching go, what happen. It was an open mic night, so it's already a packed show. It usually goes to a 2 hour show. And I was featuring, Simone was up just before me, and they put one comic who's been in the industry for a long time, but I guess maybe if I was told like not used to doing stand up or hasn't done it in a while, but was supposed to do 7 minutes, ended up doing 15. But it was a 15-minute story about him going for a shit and almost dying. Like that. He's he's acting out the whole thing. He's like, oh my God, I bent over on the toilet. Then he's leaning down. Nobody can
And my
see him.
back went out.
My back went out, so I'm on the floor, and he's literally on the floor of the stage. So nobody in the back, like past the second row, can see this guy. And he spent 10 minutes down there. What are you doing? This is not improv. Like, I can't, I just couldn't. I'm like, please tell me he died at the end of this story. Like, that's.
I was gonna say, is we were texting each other like, when will it end? And you were like, I hope he dies at the end of this story.
I was looking at you when I said that because I knew you would be gone, and all I see is dying laughing.
Oh my God. And I didn't want him to think I was laughing at him, like laughing at what he was doing.
Oh, I'm sure.
I wasn't.
Yeah. 15-minute shit story, and he didn't even die. So I'm like, well,
yeah, that was an experience. Yeah, like
yeah.
we literally saw the air sucked
And
out of the room.
trying to give him a light because he's on the floor. How you
He can't see because he's not looking up there.
finally saw, he's like, oh, I saw the light. I'm almost done. And the club owner goes, oh, thank God.
Well, just to show how you and I turned it around, like put the energy back in the room. There was somebody on the show that was like beef between us. We're in a bit of a truce right now, but there's beef between us. And he looked at me and said, you brought it back.
Wow.
So yeah, exactly. Wow. Exactly. That person was like, you brought it back. You brought, because he said, you know, everything was great until that last 20 minutes. And he's like, you brought it back.
Wow.
And I was like,
okay,
yeah, from someone who doesn't like me very much. That's
I also got from the same person, really good set. Like him and I don't have beef, but we've never been close. And so I kind of recognize it for what it is now, that, yeah, you and I definitely brought the room back. But can I just say I'm sort of happy about this truce, because the thing with comedy is that we're not all employed by the same employer, but in a way we're coworkers. And when you have conflict with someone, it's really hard. And the comedy community can be really big and really small at the same time. I met a comic that night that I'd been hearing about for 2 years through other friends, never met for 2 years. Finally, we're on a show together. So sometimes you can go many, many, many months without seeing someone, and then you're on the same show 4 times in a row with the same person.
right.
So resolving conflict might not be exactly, might not be easy, but sometimes it's worth it just to keep the peace. So that was, yeah, a truce is good. Happy to hear that.
Yeah, because we had been on a show a few months before at the same location, but we both had spots, so we didn't have to interact, and we didn't. But this week we were on 2 shows together back to back, and one of them they were the host.
Okay.
So there was no getting away. We had to interact, and I know I felt some kind of stress because I was very upset still about the beef sort of thing, but I'm like, I'm a professional, and I have every right to be here, as does that person.
For sure.
And but I know I went in, I was saying I'm not going to cause anything. That's not my style. But
Yeah.
if someone wants to come for me, if something had happened, then I'd have no hesitation to go after the person. But
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
if they were disrespectful to me or anything that night, then yeah, I would have, it wouldn't have been pretty. But to both of our credits, we were civil, we were polite, we
Yeah.
even chatted in very loose terms. They said bye to me, and
Yeah.
and I'm like, if that's how it is from now on, that's fine. That's fine.
It's not
That's
great
fine.
when somebody doesn't like you and there was some incidents that happened. I get that. But if
Yeah.
somebody's trying to make amends, I think both you and I have the grace to be okay. I'll give the benefit of the doubt, right? So, and just
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
like that is a nice start. So, it just
Hmm.
makes everyone's life easier, even for the person that maybe caused the beef. Even for that person, at some point, it gets old to have all this conflict, and you just gotta kind of, neither one of you are going away, so why not just make some peace and be civil and
Hmm. Yeah.
easier for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't pull that shit again, because I won't be so nice the next time around.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so there's yeah, so that person was like, you brought it back, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
so
It's,
it
you
says
know
that.
so that might have taken for them to do that, right? So that might have been like a conscious decision to try to you know give you a knowledge, an olive branch. So it's
Oh
great
yeah,
that you're
and
receptive
I'm, yeah,
to.
yeah, I'm receptive to it. It's like, will we ever be best buddies? No, no.
Oh,
But
that's a,
yeah,
that's a,
but can we be in the same room and perform on the same show? Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Can we perform and no one know what's know the history? Absolutely.
Of
You
course.
know, like no one
Yeah.
could be like, is there
Right on.
like a no, like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like I think there were people in the room who knew, but you know, we're
Yeah.
both adults,
At some
and
point, you got to put it behind you. You guys are going to have to work together. So make
at
the
some
best of it.
point, yes, 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 yes. Yeah, but yeah, I just brought that up to show like how much work we did, how we
Yeah.
brought it back.
Back
You
that. Yeah.
know? Yeah.
I think, and bring them up. So by the time I went up, they were right engaged again and not groaning anymore. But yeah.
Or just sitting there, because there were some people who were just like,
Oh,
didn't know what
some
was
people
happening.
are out like, what the
Yeah,
fuck
you
is
had
happening?
a better view where you were sitting. Like I was in the corner because I was waiting. Yeah, I went up thinking I was going to wait like 2 or 3 minutes, and I ended up sitting there for what, like 15 before
Yeah,
I actually got up.
that was a master class of what not to do on stage. I mean, fuck. Yeah. But it just goes to show you this person has been in the entertainment industry for a long time and has done stand up, and even people that are that seasoned can still fuck up and have a bad set.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, exactly.
I'm not too hard on myself.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because it it happens. You're gonna have an off day. You're gonna be off for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You're not feeling well. You're tired. You're distracted by other
Have you
things. Like it happens.
have you ever done a set where the audience was just so not having it that it threw you off and you realize you're like, oh, I did terrible because it affected me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I had. I wouldn't say I did terrible, but I know like I was. I wasn't as comfortable. I wasn't comfortable at all.
Mm.
It was in the summer, last
Yeah.
summer 22, and it was at a golf club in some small little town, and I was the only woman. I was the only person of color for kilometers, I'm sure. And I was up, we were only, it was host and three comics, host, two middles, and a headliner. And I was up before the headliner. So with the host and the first middle, laughing, guffaws, howling, everything. I come up and there was a table. I don't know why they were sitting like this, but there was a table of women and a table of men, like the whole room, but these two tables. So it was husbands and wives at two separate tables, you know. So I come up, every single one of the men scowling, like, how dare you, you bitch, coming up in here and trying to make us laugh. They're like this the whole time. And so I was just like, and at them, like, oh, you're not going to smile? Really? You see all the men here? I come up and you're not, and now you're going to pull an attitude like this? And one guy was like, and he's doing like, okay, like, lighten up, you asshole, sort of thing. And so I just, and I think maybe like I was up there for 20 minutes. I'd say the first 7, I was like, how dare you? You know, how dare you? You don't have to find me funny, but you don't have to do that.
No, exactly.
You know, and then they sort of loosened up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then once that happened, because I was like, no, I'm not going to let you do this just because I don't have a dick.
Well,
you know,
luckily, guys like that, I throw small dick jokes their way, and you know I have plenty of them. So
exactly.
Fuck won't like me by the end of it.
Yeah, so it's just like, I just made it clear that, like, you're not intimidating me. I know what you're doing, and it'll be in your best interest to stop.
Yeah.
You know, and then they did. They relaxed and everything, you know, and also I had their wives like, hey, stop it, Billy, stop it. You know?
I remember, I think my second year in, I did a show in Montreal, and it was an indie room, and it was at a restaurant where there was like a large banquet room upstairs. Like there was 200 people there, but it was in Little Italy in Montreal. These were all Italians, the beautiful brown hair, lots of crosses on the necks. And I'm like, oh, fuck, these people are going to hate me. Proud. And I did my set, and I went in the back, and then I go to the bathroom. And as I'm walking in, there's a girl walking out. And she was in her early 20s. And she's like, oh my God, you were so funny. I had to go fix my makeup because I was crying. Oh my Lord, I'm so happy to hear that, because I was worried you guys would hate me because my set is so, you know, raunchy. And she's like, oh, my friend didn't like you. She's like, she thought you were a big slut. And I'm like, well, tell her I am a big slut. So one was super offended, and the other one absolutely loved me. And I remember one other girl one time, she was sitting in the front, and I'm 52, and they talk about getting old, and they talk about menopause and the changes to your body. And I'll usually point out one girl, I'm like, this is a glimpse into your future. She's like, no, it isn't. She was so like, nope, not happened to me. I'm like, oh, honey, you're in first.
Oh, honey.
You are in.
Yes.
When this starts to happen in 25 years, this is the face you're going to remember. You don't like me now, you're going to hate me then.
Yeah, because you'll know I was right. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, she was personally offended when I was talking about menopause and it was going to happen. Or no, it isn't. Oh, no, okay.
Okay, you're going to defy biology. Okay, it's cool.
Good luck, honey. Good luck.
How do you feel about, because there's a double standard in comedy, and I've been subjected to it, you've been subjected to it, every woman that does comedy that we know has been subjected to it, that we're too dirty, or there are things that we shouldn't talk about, or we swear too much or something. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I haven't seen it in the way some others have. I've heard of female comics going to like a specific Montreal club, and I don't even ask me which one, I don't know. But they were specifically told you can't say the word pussy. And they're like, nobody can say it. They're like, no, just women. It's too offensive. I'm serious, yeah. And I would have
just women?
That I was told I can't say the word pussy because I'm a fucking woman. So pussy and fuck you, and I would have left.
Yeah, pussy.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah, a lot of women start out with dick jokes. But you know what? Maybe a lot of women are just very sexual. Like, what the fuck is wrong with that? Most guys start in comedy with shit and fart jokes.
Yeah.
Stick with what you know. So yes, have I heard this? Yeah. Have I sort of experienced it? Maybe, but not in the way maybe that you mean it or the way that others have. We have another good friend, you and I remember I had just met her at one of her shows, and I'm like, after her first joke, I'm like, I'm in love with this girl. And I'm like, we must be friends. And at the end of the show, we were going to go have a beer next door, and I see her chatting with some guy, and it looked like a very friendly, animated chat. I'm like, oh, maybe she knows him. I didn't know she had friends here. And then her body language is like, oh, okay, great. Thank you. And then I could see her body language. Uh-huh. And then she's like this, like, mm-hmm. And I'm like, are you okay? Because I'll come. She's like, because she knew already that I would have put him in his place. He was mansplaining comedy to her.
Oh,
Not a comic, just an audience member.
not even it's bad enough, but not even a comic. Fuck.
Middle-aged white guy that feels entitled to have opinions on everything. Which I hate.
Yeah, everything that's even shit he doesn't know about. Yeah.
And he was telling her she needs to dress differently. She can't talk about that stuff in her set because she'll never get ahead. Nobody will ever take her seriously. And I'm like, how did you sit through that with a straight face? You know, because I would have been fucking livid.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah, so that's never happened to me through other comics or audience members. And if it did, I would shut that down so fucking fast. When I started comedy, people like talk about what you know, and I know dicks. So, dick jokes. I had a happy life. I've had a lot of funny shit happen. I talk about it. What is wrong with that?
It's because we're women. That's what's wrong with that. Because we're not supposed to be sexual. We're not supposed to. Sex is supposed to be something that's done to us. We're not supposed to have any autonomy or authority in it.
And we're sure as fuck not to be this enthusiastic about it. Now I'm going to tell you. So one of the club owners, Jason at Absolute, has been encouraging me to write clean material, and a few people have chosen to get offended on my behalf when I said that, because some people will only hear half of that request, which sounds like he's saying you shouldn't be doing dirty material. Don't do dick jokes, and that's not the case. And in talking with them, I realized that. Because it will make me marketable. My stuff is very polarizing, and yes, it puts me in a niche. If I want to pursue this, and this applies to anybody that might want to pursue this as a real career, you have to be more marketable. And if you get booked on a corporate gig, which is when a company will call one of the comedy clubs and say, hey, we're having a Christmas party, we want a comic, it has to be clean.
Yeah, it's like a private show. Yeah.
I sure as fuck can't get booked on those, and I recognize that. So that's preventing me from making money. Now, that's not the club owner's fault that the clients are asking for a clean comic. They just don't want to offend their employees. That's fair. But I've chosen to go down this route where 90% of my material is either crass or raunchy. So they make a valid point. They're like, look, you're good, you're funny, I like your confidence on stage. If you want to get better paying gigs, you have to write some clean material. Now, some women have got really offended about that. And I'm like, you're not hearing the bigger picture, is that he wants to pay me to do bigger shows. Mm-hmm. You can't go on the fucking, think of all the comics that got their big break on the Letterman show or on Kimmel. You can't
go on there and swear.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you have to be clean to be on that. Yeah.
And Jason can quote some of my jokes back to me. He likes dick jokes. This has never been about him not liking my material. It's about me being more versatile and marketable. So on the surface, a comment like that can look really sexist and stuff. But when you look at the true intent behind it, it really isn't. But that doesn't mean there is no sexism. There's very few women in comedy. So anytime you go to a show, we're the minority. That's a fact. Unless it's the once a year
Women's Day show, or
which on the International Women's Day, well, then we get center stage, which I think that should happen more often.
It shouldn't be a specialty show.
If ever I go on, I'm the minority. If you look at the numbers in the Ottawa community, we are a minority. So
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
only a handful of us who are like active
regularly.
comics. Yeah.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
just don't get offended with that. Oh, I hear some, they're like, I'm the token female on the show. Who cares? You're on the fucking show. Just do the show.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that I know that a lot of people, how could I put it? A few months ago, I did another show in like a satellite show for one of the clubs in a little bedroom community. And I got like slapped with like microaggressions left, right, and center this particular night. I always experience that. But this
Mhm.
night it was like boom, 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 boom. Like, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? So before the show started, I'm setting up my camera at the bar, and this man was sitting there and he's like, oh, you work for the show. Not even you're on the show, you work for the restaurant or something. And I said, no, I said, I just set up my camera to record my set. And he's like, oh, you're a comic? And I'm like, yeah. You're on tonight? Yeah. He's, oh, obviously you're going first though, eh? And I'm like, no, I'm not, And the thing is, I think a
That's so
lot of
funny.
people don't know the structure of like a traditional comedy show where it's like MC, opener, middle or feature, and then headliner.
Yeah.
And in that structure, it's not like, oh, the weakest person is first or the strongest person is last. It's not like that. If you have a role. So your opener, yeah, it's the first comic out after the host, but they're opening the show. Then you have the
Yeah.
middle, the person who's in the middle of the show, and then the headliner who closes out the show, has like the most time and everything. And so like time-wise, the middle has, let's say the opener has 10 minutes. The middle might have 12 to 15, and then the headliner might have 30. That's just the structure. And it's not, maybe in like an open mic situation, it might go weakest to strongest or
Yeah.
whatever. But in like the traditional comedy show structure, it's like host, open, middle feature, however it's called, headliner.
Yeah.
And so he was like, oh, obviously you're first. And like that night I wasn't going first because even though I was the opener, I was hired as the opener. I wasn't going first because the headliner had to go headline at the club in the city. So he went
Oh,
up first and then left to go headline at the club. And then I went up after him, sort of
yeah.
thing. So technically, if the scheduling had been right, I would have been up first, not because I'm a woman, not because I was the weakest one or something, only because that was my role. My role is as opener, sort of thing. But he was like, oh, obviously you're the first one. And I was like, no, not obviously. I'm not
My
up first,
my thing,
like,
why do you say that? Now when I feel
mm,
like going down a dark
yeah,
path, just like, why do
I've
you say
started
that?
doing that. Like, yeah, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean? Like, why would you say that? Yeah, what do you mean by that? It's true. And
Unfortunately, people like that are not a representation of the majority of the public, but it
mhm.
really fucks the vibe just to have somebody give you that kind of attitude.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I've gotten that a lot. That it's like I go up on stage and I've witnessed most times it's nothing that I can perceive. There's nothing that I don't feel anything. It's just I go
yeah.
up, I do my shit, people react. Other times, like one time I had my camera set up in the audience, and when I was reviewing it, I
Yeah.
heard what somebody said, and I got up and one guy went, this is going to be good. You know that black people are really funny.
Yeah.
I had this on tape and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is insane. And then like other times, like I've told you, I'm getting either I'm going up on stage or say another woman's going up stage, and that's when some guy decides he's going to go for a smoke,
Yeah.
or he's going to pull out his phone, or he's going to do
Yeah.
this. You know,
Yeah.
like I bought merch from my friend Kelly Zamnikas in Toronto, because she put the things that she's heard when
Hmm.
she's gone up on stage, or when other women have gone up on stage, into merch. She put it on a mug. On a mug,
Oh,
it says, "Just another shitty female comic."
oh God,
And
that's
then on a notepad, she put, I was hoping she'd be funny. I was wrong. So she put it on merch, and like whatever money she makes from it goes to like women's shelters and stuff
that's
like that.
that's
You know, like
awesome.
she turned it around and made it awesome. But that's something that we deal with. Like I find that male comics, the audience
Yeah,
gives them the benefit of the doubt.
yeah,
You know, they can get up there, they could talk about taking a shit, they could talk about their dick hurts, they could talk about all kinds of things. Women
yeah.
go up and they're like, oh, she's going to talk about her period. I don't know one woman who's talked about her period ever on stage. None of the
But
women comics I know. You know what I mean?
guy comic that's been talking about women's period. Why is that okay?
Yes. Yes,
What's
that's okay. Yeah, he can do it. But yeah, but it's the assumption that, oh, we're going to talk about, you know, we're only going to talk about our periods, or we're going to complain about men. Men get up there and complain about women all the fucking time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But
yeah,
there's just some, like, I call it like a Madonna whore type thing. Like, we have to be like these pristine, like this, and say everything right. And oh, if we swear, like I had someone, this woman who like took it upon herself to like act like she's my mother,
oh God.
say, oh, I thought you were intelligent until you used the F word. And I'm like, I am intelligent. Fuck you, basically. She's like, if I would you talk to me like that if I were your mother? I was like, you're not my mother, so fuck off, sort of thing,
First,
you
I
know?
put mother, so
I'm like, you're not my mother. My mother had a sense of humor, you know, like, don't like, stop. Whatever it is you're doing, your misogynistic bullshit, stop it, sort of
yeah.
thing, you
The thing
know?
though, me, have I seen guys, excuse me, cross their arms when I walk up on stage? I try to not assume it's about me. Like maybe their wife just scolded them. I don't know. Maybe they're in a bad mood and maybe they're an asshole like that to everybody. So why would I take it personally? I think when I started into comedy, I got so many warnings as a woman that are like, oh, men won't think you're funny and the guy comics won't book you out on their shows and all that shit. And you have to work twice as hard to prove yourself. And I'm like, oh fuck, I'm not listening to any of that noise because it can bring you down. And then
Mhm.
I think I'm already bitter. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. So I something and I'm just going to choose to not be offended by it.
Yeah, I think we look at it from I think we approach that differently, because I, as a black woman, as a black person, I'm judged like that all the time.
Yeah.
Every, like, where I walk through life being judged like that all the time. And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. That's why I like to sit in the audience, because most of the time, if I call out something, or I if I'm aware of it, it's because I've watched them. It's not like I've come out of the green room, go straight up, and some guy sitting like this, and I'm going to assume it's about me. I've watched them with all the other. I've been sitting in the room watching them interact and laugh and all of the high-fiving people, and I see it shut down when I
Yeah.
walk on stage. I see it shut down when other women walk on stage. So it's like I'm like hyper aware of stuff like that, just because I know there's always like a big spotlight on me,
I
you know,
know.
because people are quick to say, you know, you're filling a quota. I'm sure you've heard that too. You're filling a quota. They need more women. So that's the only reason you got booked. They need more people of color. That's the only reason you got booked. And it's like, no, we got booked because we have some talent. And, you
But
know,
at the
even
same
if that's the reason that they booked us,
yeah.
the first minute on stage, they'll be like, okay, this chick knows what she's doing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So even if that's what they think, once we get started, they'll be like, no, this is a talented professional individual, sort of thing. But it's always that having to prove yourself that I'm tired of. I'm 56. I've been dealing with this all my fucking life. I'm tired.
So that guy that you watched and he goes like this when you come up, that's the same guy that if you walk into a job interview is going to be like, ugh. Or if he walks into a new job and you're his boss, is going to be great. A fucking emotional chick for a boss. Like what I'm trying to say is that those people, if they're an asshole because you're a woman on stage or a black woman on stage, they're probably assholes to everybody. So why take it personally? I'm not minimizing your struggles. You do have struggles on two fronts. Yes, women, we get, fucking attitude from people, and you're a black woman. And I don't know what it is like to live in your world, but I just find that you're aware of it. So focusing on it too much doesn't change it, and it can end up fucking your vibe. So I guess for me, that's what I mean when I say I choose to not get offended by it, because it's not going to change his mind. I'm not going to convert him, first of all.
No,
Second,
yeah.
I know this person. I don't give a shit if they're an asshole every other day of their life. Go do your thing. And thirdly, I'm here to enjoy myself as well. Like, I like performing. So I'm not going to focus on somebody who has already decided they don't like me just because I walked in with tits. Like, I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah, because it's not, I don't know. I'm probably not explaining it properly.
No, you are.
It's just like, I'm acutely aware
Yeah.
that I'm and it's not a matter of taking it personally or what. It's just, I'm aware that I walk into a room, I don't have to say anything or do anything, and there are people who are going to not like me because either I have tits or I have melanin. That's it. There's nothing I can do or not do. And I see it. Fortunately, it's not something I, like that kind of attitude during a show. I don't encounter that every single show. Thank God. Thank God. But the times that I've witnessed it, that I've seen it, it bugs me, because it's like, no, I see you laughing and everything else with everyone else. And it's not even to say, oh, they don't like my style of comedy. I'm just walking to the stage and it's all like, you know what I mean? It's not like I said something and they're like, oh, I don't like what she's saying and I don't like her joke. I haven't said anything. All I'm doing is just getting to the stage.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Psychology your ass a little bit here, okay? And cut this out later. I find that if you look for the negative, you're going to find it. So for me, you say you're hyper aware and you sit and you watch and you notice and you see all these things. And I'm not saying they don't happen, but maybe there's a part of you that when you find that one guy, it validates that lack of self-esteem in yourself, which is like, okay, see, there's another one that doesn't fucking like me. I'm so tired of dealing with this. Instead of focusing on everyone else that is looking at you and eager to see you do well. So, I mean, I've done my own therapy. I've been in therapy for years. And my own therapist said that to me as well. It's like, it's a way of reinforcing the negative stereotypes we have about ourselves, that we look for that. We're like, see, I fucking knew it. And I'm not saying, like, I understand your point. You do face that. But at some point, I'm saying, try to start tuning it out instead of focusing on it. Just tune out its noise. And it doesn't benefit you in any way. And it slowly chips away at your self-esteem. And it's that whole adage, I can give you 10 compliments and I'll give you one insult. You're going to think about that one insult all night. Right? So let's say the guy sat there like this, but you don't actually notice him, and you go on stage and you feel great. And you're like, everybody was so into it. If it's there and you didn't see it, it's still happening, but it's just not having any effect on you because you're not focusing on it. So stop trying to look for the people that don't like you, babe, and just focus on the people that do. That's kind of my, I know there's going to be misogyny.
That crap. Like, I wish that I had the privilege of having that attitude. It's not the same. I know what you're saying, but I don't even know how I can explain it, but it's not the same. It's not.
Because I want good things for you, and it's.
No, I appreciate that, and I want good things for me too, but you don't understand my experience from that perspective, that it's not a matter of I can't explain it properly, but it's not a matter of like looking for like, who hates me? Oh, see, I told you. It's not that. It's having your humanity challenged every time you walk into a room.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't see it because the person could be behind me. There could be a whole bunch of people that I don't see them. Other times it's right in my face, and these people sometimes have no qualms letting me know that I am not welcome.
Yeah.
So it's like when it's blatant,
I've seen the guys
blatant.
like this and roll their
Yeah.
eyes when they're up on stage.
Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
noticed it 4 or 5 times. Has it happened 4 or 5 times? No, it's probably happened 100.
Mhm.
I just, for me, fuck you
Yeah.
is
Yeah, no,
huge.
I still go and do, and I've still accomplished, wonderful things. I've still done well.
Yeah, of course.
I've still done well despite that, because if I let it affect me, I wouldn't have achieved what I've achieved.
Mhm.
Just in life in general, I wouldn't be where I am in general if I let all of that. And it's like, I know people like to think and say that I'm too sensitive, I'm soft.
Mhm.
If anybody somebody just has you spend an hour in my existence,
Mhm.
and no one will ever have the gall or the nerve to say that I'm soft.
Yeah.
Spend not even a day, spend a couple of hours, walk around the world as me,
Yeah.
and you'll be like, oh fuck, she's resilient, she's tough. She presents she presents an aura of, she's quiet, she's polite, she's kind, all of
Mhm.
these things, but don't fuck with her.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with her, because I've dealt with a lot of things that I've been through a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of hate. I've
Yeah.
experienced racism, hatred, sexism, all of it. And I've walked through the world gracefully
Yeah.
despite all of that. So the fact that I'm here and still a decent person, that I'm not in jail because I killed a bunch of motherfuckers. I killed somebody because they looked at me sideways or they said something offensive. The fact that I still walk through the world with grace, like I'm not weak, I'm not soft, I'm not any of those things.
Yeah. You
You know?
definitely, and we share that because we're both women, so I understand that aspect.
Mhm.
Being a person of color, obviously, I mean, I can't even fathom what you go through. Like, I'm aware,
Mhm.
and that's in a lot of other industries as well. Look at the movie industry where you'll
Oh
have
yeah,
a
everywhere, everywhere. Yeah.
quarter or less of his salary when she's got as much screen time. It's just it's in yeah. We're not
Mhm.
going to misogyny overnight. I guess
Mhm.
for me, I'm able to just I make a conscious effort to just disconnect from it and just do my thing. Um,
Yeah.
it's
But
you need
when
a
I'm saying, like, from my perspective, like, I can't disconnect from it because it's
mm,
all it's everything is like it's systemic. Everything is incorporated into everything we do. That's why it's called systemic. Like systemic
of course,
racism,
yeah.
systemic misogyny. It's incorporated into everything. Like,
Mhm.
so it's like I can't avoid it. I can't like, and it's not just comedy, just life in general in terms of dating,
Yeah,
jobs, like job interviews where people are like, because like I sound white, which is one of the most offensive things you can say to somebody. It's a racist, stupid thing to say to somebody. So I could be talking to somebody on the phone, and then I go in person and they're like, like they're shocked because I show up.
well,
You
you're
know,
Canadian. You sound Canadian.
This is what a Canadian person sounds like.
Yeah,
I was born here, I was raised here. If I was born and raised somewhere else, I'd sound like that. But I was born and raised here, so I sound like this. But
but you're inspiring me. I'm gonna fucking produce a comedy show that you can't see the fucking comic. And at the end, everybody's gonna come out. You're gonna have to guess who did which set.
yeah,
That's what we fucking do.
yeah, no, that I think, yeah, where it's just audio, yeah. You're
Yeah.
behind a screen or something, or
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. That's a cool idea. That's
Yeah.
a cool idea, because then you like then there's no preconceived anything about based on looks.
That's
It's
right.
just you have to hear. You just have to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
you know, and you can't make assumptions based on someone's voice. The
Yeah.
most you can say is like, okay, maybe it's a man's voice versus a female's voice, you know, a Canadian from a different part of the world or an American, but that's just
Yeah.
based on voice. You can't say, okay, this is what they look like
Yeah.
necessarily, you know. That's very interesting. That, yeah.
Have I ever told you that I did the complete opposite of that spectrum where I did a set where I was completely naked?
No. No. Where was
And,
this?
and the entire audience was naked.
Really?
Yeah,
That is fascinating.
I know.
Because I've heard stuff like, I had a friend, oh, she's still my friend, but when we worked together like decades ago, she was she called it naturalist, and went to like conventions and events where
Is
people don't
it
wear clothes.
naturist?
And I
I
can't,
think
she
I
didn't
think it's
call herself a nudist. It was a different term.
I
Maybe I have the term wrong.
naturalist. I
Naturist?
know because I am one, but I just call myself a nudist. I'm not in with these new terms.
Yeah,
I
because
really
she said something, nudist isn't the right term or something, but she said that it's very freeing. And she says you
Mhm.
see bodies of all shapes and sizes and colors, and once you get over the initial like everybody's naked, it doesn't matter. Like you're seeing people and
You
relating
acclimate.
to people. Yeah, you acclimate. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you did. So everyone was naked,
pretty
audience
much.
and performers.
Yeah. Well, no, I was the only performer. So I'm good friends with Sue McGarvey. She's like Ottawa's best sex and relationship therapist.
Yeah, I know
And
Sue. She's
so
cool.
social group for like-minded people. They have all kinds of events, and their events can be very vanilla to like a meet and greet in a bar for single people with nothing raunchy going on. And that's the first time I ever met her. I did a set for her. She was emceeing, and they were playing games like icebreakers, and I did some material, which really devolved into 20 minutes of dirty like stories, and everybody just fucking loved it. And some of her events are level 3, which means like some nudity but no sexual activity, right up to full out swingers parties. And
The first
yeah,
event I went to, I didn't know was like a full-on swingers party, and I was like,
oh, tell you
but
that
the
in advance.
nicest people, the people were so. I never felt more comfortable in my life.
Exactly. Yes, it's
You
a very
know,
well
yeah,
community.
very welcoming, very safe. It was
Yeah,
safe.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at one of those parties, like the entire like half the audience was skinny dipping, naked in the pool, lounging on garden chairs, naked, and so normal. I didn't, and then I did an actually I did a Fantasia party for a bunch of naturists, and I'm like, do you guys want me to dress or naked? They're like, whatever you want. I just stripped and I did the whole and I tried to organize a all nude comedy show, and a few people ripped me a new asshole. I was very new in comedy. They're like, "You're ruining comedy. You're not taking this seriously." I'm like, "Why not? They're just people. They do it
Mm.
all the time." I had so many people from Toronto volunteer to do it.
But what's
I'm
the difference between you organizing that and somebody organizing like a private comedy thing for, Acme brush tools or something? Like,
not know why. I don't know
you
if
know what I
people
mean? There's no, yeah.
I don't know if they thought it would have a sexual connotation. It's not. Naturism is not about that. It's just about being comfortable in your own skin. And they are the most like welcoming and inclusive community. Like there's all ages and body types, and everybody's so accepting and welcoming. And
Mm.
yeah, it's fun to be part of that group. They're lovely,
Yeah.
lovely people.
Yeah. Cause
Um,
I met them when I hadn't even been here a year. And so I was just looking for social groups and stuff to meet people. I think I just started comedy. I might have done like 1 or 2 sets. And I went to a party and I was like fully dressed, like head to toe cover, because I didn't know. And like nobody made me feel weird.
oh,
People came up and talked to me because I was also I was a unicorn because I was
yeah,
like a single female by myself.
yeah.
And like people came up and talked to me, and I saw this woman wearing this beautiful it was like a bustier thing. and I commented on it. I was like, that's beautiful. And she's like, yeah, this is detachable. And I was like, wow, that's really nice. And she's like, yeah, my friend made it from, she has a friend who's like a costume designer, and because she took like a corset and like a jean jacket and like made this beautiful, it was beautiful
That's
with
cool.
detachable things and everything. And I was like, wow. But yeah, everyone was so welcoming and so kind and like open-minded. And like, I know a lot of people say that's the kind of like social thing that they want to do, but these people like live it.
They
Like
do.
they live it. Like,
It
yeah, they
includes
live it.
a lot of body positivity. Like they
Yeah.
just don't care what you look like. Nobody
Mhm.
has perfect. Nobody is perfect at these parties.
Mm.
They're just so
Yeah.
welcoming of
Yeah. And
to,
they work really hard to keep the environment safe.
Mhm.
Because I know there was an incident before, it happened a bit before this party, where like on their online forum,
Yeah.
there was a man that was like harassing people, but he would get kicked out and like recreate, like come back as a different thing, and he started like harassing me. And so I remember I messaged Sue and I was like, this guy's been saying like really inappropriate things to me, and I've tried to shut him down and he keeps coming back and everything. They took it, gone.
Oh yeah, she doesn't fuck.
Yeah, they don't fuck around with stuff like that, with people's safety and comfort levels. And yeah, like, and I like that. I like that.
Speaking of nudity, the Strip Joker show, which is a lot of fun, where the comics go up and they tell shorter stories, like usually one-liners, hopefully. And if they bomb, they have to take out a piece of clothing. And people have gotten very creative with how they're dressing and how they're stripping and stuff. But there's no actual nudity allowed because these are venues that don't have a nudity license, and the producers don't want to go and pay for just a one-time nudity license.
I
I
didn't
had
know
a
that you needed a license
You do for
for that.
public.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
If you're an establishment, yeah, there's rules around it. I don't know if it's an actual license, but anyhow, most of the venues just don't want to do it. I was supposed to do the show in December, and I couldn't make it because I had two other shows that night. But Liam messaged me and asked me if I wanted to do it because I saw him this week. Which show did I see him at? I saw him at Yucks, I think. He's like, we missed you on Strip Joker.
Yes, on Thursday. Yeah.
If I can't whip out a titty, I'm not doing it.
I was there for that.
This morning saying, okay, we have a venue in Alexandria. We're talking to them into letting us do actual nudity. I'm not, well, then count me in.
Wow.
I can't whip out a titty. I'm not doing
it. You're like, make it worth my while.
Yeah, I don't do that. Oh. And it's not a Strip Joker, it's a tease Joker. So just ask me any, you've gotten busy with any comics, just do that. It'll be natural.
Okay. So have you gotten busy with any comics? You don't have to say names, but
maybe a couple.
Okay. Same. Me too. Me too.
Yeah. I have some stories. Actually, I had a really, really good looking headliner bend me over the hood of my car and fuck me stupid. So that was fun.
I think you told me about that. I think you told me about that one.
20 years I've had my Mustang, never had sex in or on my car. Finally. So that was fun. I have dick pics of an Ottawa comic that has an 11.5-inch dick. Your face right now.
11.5.
Yeah. I didn't sleep with them though. I said I'd have to check with my surgeon.
Exactly. Check with my spine doctor.
Now here's the thing. He went on a couple of dates with some comics that before I came along and after. And I don't think they know because they just did the first date and never pursued it. And I don't know what they
don't know that he's packing or whatever.
They came to seeing this fucking anaconda whip out of this tall, skinny comic. It's fucking hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I'm going through the Rolodex of, and I'm like, I can't think of I can't think of who that could be.
So speaking of a Rolodex, like a lot of people, younger people don't know what that is, but in the 50s when
Oh yeah,
secretary,
in the olden days.
yeah, in the 50s, before computers and shit, secretaries were all women and they worked for these high-powered men, and they had a little index on their desk with people's
And it
names
could
and tell,
turn. Yeah.
and it was called a Rolodex.
Yeah.
Well,
Because each person had a card and it
yeah,
spun. It was in a little case
yeah,
and you would spin it and be like, oh, okay, so and so with all
yeah.
their information. Yeah.
Well, I have a collection of dick pics on my phone and I call it my Rolodex.
Rolodex. Like the Rolodex. Oh yes, because I remember there was a show a few months ago. I think it was at Swizzles. And
Yes.
dick pics. You're showing whoever was hosting, I don't remember who, with like, oh, you
You
mean
remember
this?
who?
Like this?
And George, they were
Oh
traumatized.
yes, it was yeah, Caesar and George were hosting. Yeah, and they
I'm,
were like, what?
oh, I'm in the audience and they brought a who likes dick pics. I'm like, they're like, of course you do. Like, how many are in here? I'm like, a lot. There's a lot.
Oh
You know,
my god, that was funny. That night was hilarious. That was so funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were. And then I showed them the big 11-inch dick. And do you know who they thought it was? Because he was there that night. I'm always hitting on the younger comics. Like I'm half joking, half hoping it'll happen. And
Same.
they're like, it's you, isn't it? I did not confirm or deny. I said, okay, I won't say a word. Let him keep thinking you're packing fucking, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. If I
I'm
were a guy and everyone thought I was packing 11 inches, I'd be like happy with
like,
that. I'd be like, yeah, that's good PR for me.
yeah.
I know a lot of people have don't what's the expression? Something like don't shit where you eat sort of thing. Like don't.
Yeah, I'm just smart. I only fuck the out of town comics and I don't have to. Like if their name's on the marquee, I just won't go in. That's a joke.
Just be discreet. Just keep it discreet. Exactly. Yeah, like no one will ever know
There's
that.
a lot of comic dick out there. How's a girl supposed to resist, you know?
I know.
You've had your don't fucking lie.
No, I'm not denying anything, but yeah, no, I've had, yeah, I've, yeah.
See, you've got stories too. Don't
I
lie.
have stories. I know. I have stories. There are a whole bunch of comics going, oh, fuck.
I may or may not have seen the inside of the absolute condo. I'm just saying.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But I guess I'm no, I haven't slept with a lot of comics and I'm very selective of who I'm never gonna cause drama that way. Like I'm not gonna sleep with someone and get into a fight with them. I don't do drama. So it has problems and I'm not gonna go after anybody's man either. So, you know, I like to flirt.
Exactly. And the thing is like it's a small like you said earlier, it's small and big at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's bound to be overlap just because it's so small and there's so few of us. There are more men than women in it, and if there's bound to be overlap at some point, you know. And and I think the fact that that we're older, that has its own appeal.
Yeah.
You know, because just because we're older, we're more experienced, and like you said, we're not here for drama. We're not going to cause anything. It's like, yeah, we'll do what you know, you do, and that's it. Like,
I'm just in pursuit of my own selfish desires. That's it. I'm not fuck anybody over.
Exactly. It's not, my goal is not to hurt anybody's feelings or to break anybody up or anything like that. It's like my own kernel thing, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I'm just here for a good time. It's like, and also don't bring that to me either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That sort
exactly.
of thing. Don't bring that energy to me
Mm.
either. But
I did meet a comic recently who has been bragging about his prowess in bed. And he just fucked himself. I'm like, oh, that's a turn off. I'm sorry. That's not, no. I mean, it should be
exactly.
to tell you you're good in bed, not you tell me how good you are, because I'm just going to starfish and make you work for it. Right. So,
And the thing is, if you have to go out of your way to tell me, you probably aren't that great, you know?
uh, guys
Unless we're like
are
having the discussion, unless we're talking about stuff and they're like, oh, I like this. And that's
weren't.
different. But if it's just like
We
trying
weren't.
to impress you by saying, I can do that, you probably can't.
Yeah.
I don't think so. You probably can't.
Yeah. Guys that are good in bed, they just put out big dick energy. They don't actually have to brag. You just,
Absolutely.
and you know what? Sex is like comedy. It's very subjective. So whatever you did with the last chick might not work on me. So
Exactly.
have you ever
Exactly.
someone I'm really good in bed?
Pardon me?
Have you ever gone out and said to someone, yeah, I'm really fucking good in bed. You should fuck
No.
me. Ever
No.
do you think you're good in bed?
Yes.
See, that's just it. I would never go around saying, oh, yeah, I'll be the best lay you've ever had. No, I'm like, I'm fun in bed and I'm very enthusiastic. Whether or not you like my style, that's for you to
Yeah.
decide.
Yeah.
But I would never go around saying I'm
No.
good. I had people tell me I'm the best sex they've ever had. Yeah, but the next guy might not think so. So it's very subjective. Don't
Yeah.
brag.
Yeah. Don't brag. Don't brag. Don't brag. And it's like,
You're funny. Like I don't go around saying, "Oh yeah, I'm really fucking funny." I'm like, people seem to think I'm funny. Like I don't know, a little bit of
yeah,
humility.
exactly. Because I know for myself that anything that's too obvious
Mhm.
is a turn off. Because I remember, this isn't like within comedy, but like years ago when I lived in Toronto, there was this man that I just thought he was hot. I thought he was hot. He thought I was hot. I thought he was hot, but we never hooked up because he made a point like we went to the same place like after work every week. We didn't work together. Like he was just a patron
Yeah.
of this place that I went to every week. And he would make a big production of trying to get me to go home with him
Oh God.
every fucking Friday.
Yeah.
And I never did, because I was like, the whole damn bar knows that you're
Yeah.
trying to get me to go home with you. And so no, for
That's
that reason alone, I'm not going home with you. I never did. I never hooked up with him because it
yeah.
was like, no, I'm not, no. Like it's not that I'm not embarrassed or anything. I'm not ashamed or embarrassed or anything. It wasn't anything like that. It was also, a little discretion. Like
It's a
let's
little public. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah, it was too public. It's like why is it so difficult to be discreet? Like, why does the whole world need to know that you're trying to take me home? And why does the whole world have to know that we had sex? Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, it's totally unnecessary. So I never left with him. We never hooked up. He kept trying till the day he left Toronto, like for 2 years. And then it got to the point where like people I didn't even know, like people I just knew as, oh yeah, I'm here every Friday, they're here every Friday, but they're like a different group coming up and say, at least he really likes you, like why don't you just give him a chance? And it's like, excuse me, like this is why, because it's not up for discussion. This is not It's not up for discussion. This isn't like some town hall, some like moratorium on whether I should sleep with this guy or not. Like it's not up for discussion, and it's not up to you to come and
Yeah.
tell me that I should give him a chance. Like no, he needs to learn some discipline and some self-control and some discretion. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So yeah, and I don't I that's my big thing. I
Yeah.
don't like things being too obvious. Not sneaky, but it's like the whole world doesn't need to know
No, of
that.
course.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been like my motto and my way
Yeah.
of approaching things. And
I'll just say this, like, I'm definitely gonna sleep with more comics, but nobody know how many, and nobody will ever know who, because
Yeah,
I don't tell names, and it's nobody's business who it is. But I'm a
exactly.
slut with a big mouth. I will talk about it, but who. But the other day, Christy and I were at Abs. I went to watch her perform, and then there was a bunch of comics standing at the bar, and we have a really fun game of fuck, marry, kill. That was interesting.
That's fun.
I
Yeah,
might,
that game's always pretty hilarious.
you know what? That's what you should do next time you have a table of guys that seem like they don't want you there. Like, say, why don't we play a game of fuck, marry, kill right now? You know.
No, that would have been fun to witness, just to hear like the reasoning on why someone would marry, fuck, or kill a particular
I don't.
person.
Well, one of them had a mustache. He had to die for sure. So yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's the thing. Like no one will ever know who I've
Honey,
been
I've
with.
told some of these stories. You don't even know who I'm talking about. And you and I are good friends.
Yeah,
So no,
exactly. Exactly. And
I don't.
even some of my stories, some of my bits.
If I start outing everyone, nobody will sleep with me anymore. So I.
Exactly. Exactly. Just the fact, no, exactly. Because it's like, yeah, discretion goes a long way. Discretion goes a
I
long way, you
haven't
know?
banged any female comics yet. That's still on my to-do list.
I can safely say the women are safe.
So
I don't swing from that tree, but whatever.
I'm an equal opportunity slut.
Oh my God.
Um, I don't know if that's true, because like I've been single for a long time, and I've slept with enough people. But when I started comedy and I told some of my guy friends, like they're like, "Oh my God, are you going to talk about me on stage?" I'm like, dude, I've been bad in bed, but it wasn't that funny. Like, fuck. I'm like, no, you're not stage worthy.
Well, I have a couple of bits, and the person involved knows.
Yeah, but you don't
So
say exactly who it is, though. That's
no,
the
no,
difference.
no, no, no. I don't. Yeah, I don't.
A
Yeah,
lot of
there's
them were girls.
nothing about it that someone's gonna go and like
Yeah.
calculate and everything. Yeah, there's nothing about it that could pinpoint the person, but the person knows because the
A lot,
person knows.
they were just terrified that they were going to come to my shows and I was going to single them out and
Be
say,
like,
"Oh,
you see Bob over there? Bob
hard
sucks in
bed."
bed.
Don't fucking worry.
Oh my God. No, like I have a nightmare because I have an ex that lives in Ottawa. And like
Mhm.
when we were seeing each other, I was living in Toronto. So we did like we would meet in Kingston because it was like halfway for
Yeah.
both of us. And at the time, he wasn't in a position to leave Ottawa, and I wasn't in a position to leave Toronto. Um, and things ended pretty not well,
Oh,
a little acrimonious, which is fine. That's okay. And then he tried to make amends and things, and I was like, okay, right, we're adults, we can be friendly and stuff. But then he got weird and stuff again, sort of thing. And he's been creeping around like my social media, and I'm just waiting for the day where there's a show and he's there.
oh
I'm
no.
just waiting because he creeps in and he'll like something. I'll be like, oh, you think did you because sometimes you like absentmindedly like click on something and you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Like
Yeah.
I've done that where it's like because it's not like say you clicked on a picture from last week, you clicked on a picture from like 2016,
Yeah.
which
Find
just
that one. Yeah.
exactly where the person would be like, oh, they've been like scouring my whole profile sort of thing. So like he's been clicking on stuff, and he knows I'm in Ottawa. Like
Yeah.
we weren't in touch for me to be like, oh hey, I'm moving to Ottawa. It wasn't we weren't on terms like that.
Right.
um
Right.
but he has like not commented, but he's clicked on things and stuff that I'm like, now
Would
I'm
it
waiting for the day.
would it throw you off if he showed up? Would you be able to do your set, or would it really bother you?
It wouldn't it wouldn't bother me.
Oh, okay.
If he showed up, I think I'd want to fuck with him and make him think I would say something. I think I would, that's what I would like to do. Just have him be like, oh shit. Like she saw me,
Uncomfortable.
she knows I'm here, sort of thing. But no, it wouldn't bother me. My Toronto ex, that would bother me.
Okay.
That would bother me. If he walked in, well, he would have to care. But like if he walked in, like whether a show here or a show in Toronto, I think that would throw me off for like a minute where I'd be like, holy fuck. But then I would carry on. I would just do what I do.
That's
But
good.
yeah, but it would the Ottawa guy, I'd just be like, I'm gonna mess with him a little bit, make him think I'm gonna say something, but it wouldn't really bother me that he's there. But the Toronto ex, that would bother me. That would bother
Yeah.
me. Where like
Mhm.
backstage I'd be like like that, but once I get on stage, it's it's business. It's got to do my thing and just like sort of show him like, you see,
Yeah.
like this. You thought I couldn't do it. You know?
Yeah.
That kind of thing, like fuck you, like this. But yeah, and the thing is, you never know who's in the audience. For all I know, that Ottawa guy could have been at a show. I have no idea. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, you don't know who's you don't know who's there. Especially a show where there are a lot of people. You have no idea who's there, or
Yeah.
somebody who knows, somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows you. Like I think when we were at Swizzles, one of the comics came up and said, "Oh, we have a friend in common," and it was a friend of mine from high school,
Oh.
going back like 40 years. And this guy's not our age. This guy's much younger than us, but just like the circles, I think his wife works with her husband's best friend, and like the spider webs, you know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
never know who is in the audience and how they're connected to you.
Yeah.
So this segment is just like, I just call it crazy questions. And so I have a list of random questions. Like I scoured the internet. So I have some of them are silly, some of them are ridiculous, some of them are deep, sort of
Okay.
thing. There's a whole gamut of them. And so I just curated this whole bunch, numbered them, and I asked my guests to pick, depending on how many you want to do, to pick numbers, and then I read the corresponding numbers, and we answer them, or you answer them, and if you want to hear my answer or what I would think, we do that too. So
So my birthday's August 8th, so let's do 8.
8.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're 8 with your, okay. All right, so this is an easy one to ease into stuff. What food do you dislike the most, and why?
Uh there's not a lot I dislike. You know what made me gag?
That
No.
11.5-inch dick we were talking about before.
Apple juice. I like
Really?
apples. I like applesauce. I like apple pie. But I guess I got a procedure somewhere where was it? No, when I donated blood and they give you something sugary to eat after, and all they had was apple juice. I cannot swallow that stuff.
Ooh, was it warm? Because warm apple juice is
Uh-huh.
gross. It's like pee.
Cold, but oh, I can't. So I guess apple juice. But I'm not a picky eater. I used to be when as I was a kid. But yeah, apple juice is I can't do it. No, I've
For
never
me,
something. I've tried eating like smoked salmon, like the sushi raw stuff, and I'm like, ugh, it feels like the texture's weird. But this actually had me make me gag. Fucking weird. Yeah.
I mean, it's cucumbers.
Really?
Oh, I hate
Cucumbers are
I
like
hate People
water.
always say it doesn't smell like anything, it doesn't taste like anything. And I'm like, no, there's a smell and a taste, and I fucking hate it. To me, it's yeah, cucumbers are disgusting to me. Okay, what's another number?
70. I was born in 1970.
70? Oh, I know how you're gonna answer this question. So
Oh, well,
so
yeah.
it's like, if you had to choose between going naked or having your thoughts appear in thought bubbles above your head for everyone to read, which would you choose?
Oh, going naked for sure.
I would choose naked too. I would choose naked too in this because, like, yeah, nobody needs to know what's going on.
No,
Nobody needs to know.
there, nobody, the depths of my depravity, nobody
Yeah,
needs to know.
exactly. Nobody needs to be subjected to that. You
No.
know? No, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Okay. What's another one?
64.
64. Would you rather be poor with great friends or rich with none?
I am poor with great friends.
Same. Same. That's my life.
I am poor. I have a house and I have nothing else. So I need friends because my life has no meaning otherwise. So that's the answer. I
Yeah.
already, so
Yeah.
I'd rather be rich and no friends. No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
150.
150. What was the thing you mostly got grounded for?
Missing curfew.
Missing curfew.
I grew up in the 70s and like literally like we would eat dinner like after school you go home you have dinner and then we would leave until the street lights went on.
Yeah.
It was always like be back
No
by
cell
8.
phones, nothing, no pagers, nothing.
It gets dark at different times and I could never wrap my brain around that, but I was always late, always. Yeah, that's the most frequent one I got grounded for was missing.
Okay.
I got spanked a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I never got grounded for like missing curfew or anything because I know, like, going out, um, we would take the last bus home. And so that was like, if you
Yeah,
missed the last bus, then that's when we get in trouble because you didn't plan
yeah,
ahead to catch the
yeah.
last bus and everything. But I know as a teenager and everything, it was smoking. I was
Oh,
always getting caught smoking, or some narc would like snitch and tell my parents that they saw me smoking at the mall or saw me smoking somewhere, and I get in trouble. That was my thing.
I've never even tried it.
You've never smoked? Well,
Never
that's
tried.
good.
And
That's
I've also never done drugs.
like not weed or anything. Oh
I grew
wow.
up in Vanier. Kids were sniffing glue around me when I was 10. You know, I grew up around that. And all my friends were smoking when they were 12 and shit. And
Oh
I
wow.
I think, well, smoking is gross. Like my whole family, my siblings were older than me, so they were all smoking. And I remember entire car rides as a kid with my coat sleeve over my face,
Yeah.
trying to not, because the air was blue in the car. I just
Yeah,
remember
in those
being
days you could smoke
out.
everywhere, anywhere. Yeah.
I just remember being so grossed out forever that it never occurred to me to even try it. And as for drugs, I have a very dysfunctional family, and two of my siblings were addicted really young, and I saw the dark side of it and just put a healthy fear of it into me.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
for most of my life very much like anti-weed, like oh my god, weed is so bad, but um I don't mind. I would date someone who smokes weed. I don't give a shit because I it's actually less harmful for you than
Then
alcohol.
alcohol. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've dated alcoholics and they are abusive, and so I'm not a big hypocrite that way anymore. Like I do feel like also weed is a very valid medication to treat things. Um, so I'm not like anti-weed, but it's never been something that interested me in trying. I
Yeah.
drink, that's enough.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
I'm still kind of scared, and maybe part of me is like I'm scared I'm gonna like it too much. That's just the
yeah.
reality. I'm super
Yeah.
honest with my I don't think I have an addictive personality, but maybe I haven't met the right drug yet, right? So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I've never tried anything stronger than I've never, like, drug wise, I've never done anything more than weed,
Yeah.
and even weed, like, I don't know, like, smoking it, like if I don't know if it's different now. I haven't smoked weed in a long time, but the few times that I've smoked it, it was like I had like this really psychedelic
Oh,
weird feeling, which I didn't really like,
see, yeah,
yeah, I just didn't
about
like the
that.
feeling.
I'm
um
worried about being stuck in a bad trip. I don't want that.
yeah, and there were a couple times where I don't, yeah, it's just it's not a feeling that I'm comfortable with. I do like now, like, yeah, in the last couple of years, I do like edibles, because you could take smaller doses and it just
Yeah.
takes the edge off and stuff like that. But even that, I don't do that often. I'll go through a
The,
phase where I'll have like
really,
gummies and stuff, but
the only one I'm really curious about is mushrooms. And
I'm
I've
yeah,
read
I'm
up.
kind of curious about that. I was talking with our dear friend, our dear mutual friend, and both of us are a little scared about it. And we're like, okay, if we ever try, we have to do it like in a safe environment, like
That's
at
right.
our at our house with each other,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
because I've heard all kinds of things that, and yeah, a psychedelic trip I think might be terrifying. Like, I get these purple dragons off of me, sort of thing. Like,
Oh, that,
that scares
yeah.
me.
I I think I would even try that before weed. Like weed, I mean, yeah, it can give you the giggles, but I've laughed so hard sober that my stomach hurt for 3 days. I don't feel like I need that. And weed relaxes you. Well, I don't have anxiety, so I don't really feel that I need
Mm,
that in my life either. I
right.
guess I found a good reason to try it, but I think I would try mushrooms one day.
Yeah,
But
I'm a little afraid to try like acid or mushrooms and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll dabble in the edibles every now and then, and just like the smallest possible dose. Like, I have zero
yeah.
tolerance on it, so like it helps me sleep. Like, I do deal with anxiety, so sometimes it's really helpful. But beyond that,
Oh yeah, thank
yeah.
God you got that for people with chronic anxiety sufferers. Like I don't know how you function. I've had bouts of anxiety where I go through a trauma or a breakup where I
Hmm.
feel anxiety, but I don't suffer from chronic anxiety,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
different. It's
yeah.
yeah, it's not fun to deal with. But yeah, so anyways, yeah, I grew up in Vanier and I never smoked, never did drugs. I just went full slutty. That was my vice. Like that.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
smoked. My mother never smoked. My father smoked, and then he had quit for when I was a teenager. He quit for a couple of years, and then he started again. And then my sister and I started smoking, and we could get away with it because my father smoked in the house. So it was like we were able to like sneak cigarettes, and if we smoked in the house, it couldn't you couldn't blame us, because it's like, well, you smoked. Maybe it was you. Like, well, you know what I mean? But that was the thing I got in trouble for the
Yeah.
most. Like, not coming home late, not skipping school or anything, but getting caught smoking, sort of thing. And then,
A
yeah, and
lot
I
for time.
quit 13 years ago.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Got in
yeah.
trouble back a lot. I've always had since
Spicy.
yeah.
Feisty. Yeah, no, I was pretty I had feisty moments. I have feisty moments, but overall I was pretty quiet and, you know, tried not
I
to cause trouble or anything. But
got that out somehow. You know what I mean? Like I know why I did everything I did as a kid and why I got in trouble. I was such an unhappy kid, but
mm,
here I am
yeah.
now. All right. You want to do another?
Yeah, we'll do a couple more. We can do a few more.
Uh, let's do 62.
62. Okay. Right. 62. Would you rather be completely insane and know that you are insane, or completely insane and believe you are sane?
Uh, well, the second one is called narcissism. Why would I know if I'm insane? I think it's an easy one. If I'm insane, I don't want to know it. That would just drive me even crazy. I'd rather be in
That's what I
denial.
was gonna say. I was like, as someone who deals with like mental health issues,
Yeah.
like when you know you're spinning out,
Yeah.
and like it's a trip. Like,
Mhm.
you're freaking out, or you're overreacting or whatever, but you feel powerless to stop it.
Oh, I had moments like that.
That's insane. That's an insane feeling.
I've had that. When your feelings are out of control and you feel totally irrational, and you can say that, I'm like, I don't know why I'm freaking out, but I can't stop
Yeah.
freaking out.
Or you're like in a rage, you're in a rampage, and like there's some part of your brain going, calm the fuck down. Like, what's like, why are you doing this? Like, stop it. It's not that serious. And you're like, ah.
Yeah.
I've been there many, many times.
This question, and I'm insane and I'm not aware, and you were trying to get me to have this epiphany, which just backfired on you, because I'd rather live in, if I'm crazy, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Because I think it's not a matter of like somebody telling you. I think if you're
just self-aware.
I think like if being completely insane, but you think you're sane, keeps you at peace, be at peace. Yeah. Because I think the opposite of being insane and knowing you're insane will make you more insane, I think.
Yeah.
I think you'll be too much in your head and stuff like that. So I think like bliss, just choose bliss. Just choose bliss. Like you want to, this is totally normal. I'm like, go with that. Go with that.
All right. Question. I have to pick number 69.
Okay. Okay. Number 69. It's kind of dull. It's kind of a boring question, I guess. What's the closest you've ever come to being arrested?
I'm just thinking I've done some shit I could get arrested for, which is not really criminal, more like public indecency, but I don't think I'm close. I don't think I ever came close to being arrested. Should I have a few times? Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm too vanilla. I've never come close to being arrested.
I'll tell you, it's a dirty story. I'll tell you this story. This was about, I don't know, 2001. I looked good then. I was 31. I had my stripper body. I looked good. And I had a really nice bright yellow pickup truck. And I had a bunch of guy friends from high school that I'd recently kind of reconnected with. They all drove motorcycles. And we would, Thursday nights, go down to this bar in Gatineau, where I would drive my truck and they would all have their bikes around me, and it looked pretty cool. And a couple of times I'm like, I want to go on somebody's bike. So there's this one friend of mine, I'm like, bring another helmet next week. I'm getting on the bike with you. And he's like, all right. This was around the time, or definitely after they legalized being topless in Ontario.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so it's early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're driving to Gatineau this particular night, and it was hot, like it's 30 degrees. Obviously I'm not dressed properly to be on a motorcycle. Don't scold me, but I just had like capri shorts and a tank top. And anyways, I kept pulling my straps down and flashing the guys around me. But the guy was behind, he didn't know what the fuck was going on. And all the other guys are like honking their horns. Like, what the fuck? I'm like, I don't know. They're just in a good mood. So we go to the bar and we're on our way back. And we're on the bridge back into Ontario. And I take my strap and I actually pull it off, and I put my arm back around them, and I take the other strap off and I pull it on. And then I take the top and I pull it all the way down and I tuck it into my pants. Well, I rode into the Byward Market completely topless on the back of the cycle. So that night's a Saturday night. It's 11:30 at night. The market is packed, and we're coming up Dalhousie, and everybody is starting to hoot and holler and stuff. And the guys around us, they're honking their horns to get attention. And one guy is like, "What are you doing?" We were stopped in traffic, and I'm like, "It's hot." And he's like, "Fucking hey!" And so every time we'd stop, I just lean back and my boobs were out. Like, what the fuck is that? Going back there, I'm like, nothing. So at one point,
because he has no idea.
No. And I had actually taken the top off and shoved it between us. And so we're turning. No, we're at a light here, and there's a cop coming this way, and he decides to turn. And I'm like, oh fuck, he's gonna see I'm topless. So I take my shirt and I fling it over just so it looks like there's something on my back. And all the bikes, I'm like, stop fucking honking, you idiots. And by then, the guy whose bike I was on knew, because I had told him finally and stuff. But yeah, so I just kind of flung my shirt, and the cop drove by, and I just kind of gave the nod and a smile, and went. I like we would have ended up on the front page of the Ottawa Sun the next day if I got busted for that. Riding through the market fucking topless. And we went for a couple of runs around the market, and guys would go in the bars and be like, she's back, dude. And so this was 20 years ago, and my friends, they still talk about that. For them,
Oh
that
my
was the wild.
God.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That was but that would have been a conversation for sure if the cops saw me topless.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Yeah, no, I'm vanilla. I've never come close to being arrested. You know.
Well, I don't do any criminal stuff. Like I don't steal. I don't sell drugs. I don't. No, nothing like that.
Yeah.
I do want to be arrested at least once for indecent exposure before on my bucket list.
Okay, let's do one. Sorry.
I would be disappointed. I said I'll be disappointed in myself if I die without getting arrested once for running around naked somewhere I'm not supposed to. For sure.
They'll probably leave you alone. They'll probably be like, she looks happy. Just leave her. Let her go. It's fine. Look how happy she is. Look at her frolicking. Okay, let's do one last question before we sign off.
222.
222. Okay. What's the best thing about your life right now?
There's a few things I'm thankful for, but you know what? Being single, my friends. The best thing about my life is like I for years I've been cutting out toxic people because I realized that I match energies and I can't have toxic people in my life or people that don't appreciate me or support me or accept me. And yeah, I've been single for a long time and people always ask me if I get lonely. And I'm like, yes, but not really, because I surround myself with some pretty amazing people. And I know that it sounds cheesy, but I really do. I have a great support system. I mean, I've had friends come and see me like 35 times perform. Like every time I have a show, I'm like, come out. They're like, okay. And it's the same shit I do every set. They still show up.
Supportive. Yeah. They're showing up for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't have a lot of I don't have kids. So yeah, my friends are really the best thing about my life because I have a house, but a house can be taken away. A house can burn down. You know, so I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, material things you can lose material things. Material things can be replaced.
Yeah.
But people cannot. Yeah.
My house, I like the furniture. I picked it out, but if I had to move and leave everything behind tomorrow, I wouldn't give a shit because those things don't matter. So yeah, my friends.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd have to say that too. I'd have to say that too. Cause like I've always been like kind of awkward and like never really fit in anywhere sort of thing. And so like the friends that I do have, I think as I got older, you know, yeah, as I age and as I get older, it's no, I don't want to say easier to meet people, but it's like I'm not paralyzed with fear of like, oh my God, it's a room of new people. I can't talk to anybody or I'm afraid to talk to anybody. Sometimes like you get to a point, you hit a certain point in your life where you're just like, if I want to do something or if I want things to happen, I have to, no matter how scary something is, I have to do it. And yeah, you just work through that. And like that could be a process for some people. Some people are able to do that from day one. Other people like myself had to grow into that and like mature into that. But yeah, like I wouldn't trade my friends for the world. And like I've had to cut out over the last 3 years, like like say from pandemic till recently, I've had to cut out a few people that you know, it was necessary. It was not to say that it didn't hurt or it wasn't painful, but it was necessary.
Yeah,
you know, I've done that. Yeah, you just like for your own peace of mind and things like that. And it doesn't mean that they're a horrible person. It just means that you're not aligned anymore.
No,
you know, your friendship isn't like relationship isn't aligned anymore. But the people I do have in my life, like you, and then my other, I've got friends in all the important aspects of my life. I have friends there, and because like you might say, oh yeah, my comedy friends or my this friends, my work friends. But like people I call friends, like you, like
Yeah.
Christy, and like other people, you're my friends, period. Like we
Yeah.
met in comedy, but like you two are my girls, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I value and cherish those relationships very, very much. And
Right.
they're important, and yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love, this was a great discussion. I like how you know, we got like political like this, and then we got spicy, and yeah, it ran the gamut. So I knew that this was going to be like a lively, spicy discussion with you. I knew we would, because yeah, we talked about things that I've never talked about with other, like with
Yeah.
other interviews, and
Yeah.
it's, yeah, not for yeah, I just knew that you would be more comfortable talking
Well,
about stuff like that, and I would be comfortable talking about it with you, you
I have
know.
opinions on everything, so
Yeah, I like that this was more than just comedy, but um
yeah.
we did discuss comedy because it's a big part of our lives. It's a big part of like what we do and who we are. That's how we met. That's how our relationship started. But I like how we've just like transcended all of that in this
Yeah.
discussion. So
Yeah.
if people are interested in seeing you perform, or like,
Well, they might.
where can they follow you?
I'm gonna get really good at posting my shows. I just don't think of it, but now I'm making a real concerted effort to update my socials. So I'm on Facebook. I have a page called Sex and Giggles.
Okay.
And I'm on Insta. It's Funny Girl Julie with a couple of underscores in between. So yeah, find me there, and I will be posting all my shows regularly now. So yeah, it's too hard to predict, and most of
Mhm.
us, we don't get booked that far in advance. We're not headlining yet, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like okay, so I'll put your Facebook page and your Instagram in the show notes.
Perfect.
And thank you so much for
Yeah, it was,
taking the time to talk to me today.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure this will be a very popular episode.
Yeah.
And she'll be a very popular episode.
You just
And
have Julie spills the tea on the comics she fucked, and trust me, some will come out of curiosity, and the others will come to see if I mention them by
yeah,
name.
come out of fear, like, ooh, like she, thank you, everyone. So episodes drop weekly. So you can follow me on Instagram at Shooting the Breeze Ottawa. That's specifically for the podcast. On Twitter, it's STB Ottawa Pod on Twitter, and you can find Shooting the Breeze Ottawa on Anchor, and it's available wherever podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Also on YouTube. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next time. Bye.